Hello, this is Haberman bringing you yet another obscure FPS you've probably never played and probably shouldn't, if you know what's good for you. This is Faceball 2000, released in 1991, unlike the title would suggest, for the Game Boy, in case you couldn't gather that from the monochrome graphics. Now, some of you may be saying, wait a minute, this is a first-person shooter for the Game Boy, released in 1991? Yeah, I just said all that. So this actually predates Wolfenstein 3D, which is the curious thing about it. A lot of people seem to think that Wolfenstein 3D was like the first-person shooter. It wasn't, not by a long shot, as a matter of fact. This game here we're playing is actually a remake or a port of Midi Maze, which was an earlier, 1987 I want to say, first-person shooter, which itself was based off of Maze War from 1975, so there's a bit of a history lesson for all y'all. But those games were older and weren't as widely accessible as this one was. This one came out for the Game Boy, which, you know, was blowing up in 1991. Also, did I mention that this is a first-person shooter on the original Game Boy? We gotta see how this looks, we gotta see how this plays. Bit of a spoiler warning. Not very well, as it turns out. So at the risk of seeing that demo again, let's press start to begin game, or go to the menu enter-face. We got some options here. We got two game modes and an options menu. We even have a player name at the bottom and one player ready. This game actually had support for up to 16 simultaneous players, which I will admit, I didn't know that going into this. I learned that while reading up for this video. See, I do the research for these things. Apparently, there was a special link cable that came with a Game Boy racing game, some F1 bullshit, which if you got enough of those gathered together, you could connect 16 Game Boys together and get something going. Did it actually happen? Did anyone actually do that outside of testing? That remains to be heard, but it's there. It is there. And it's fitting because the game that this is based off of, Midi Maze, was one of the first games to have deathmatch-style multiplayer. So, you know, it's pretty cool that they managed to sneak that in. They managed to get that working in this Game Boy game. It's very novel. Not very practical, but novel. In fact, I think if we go to this options menu, there should be an ability to customize our character. Yes, we can set a player name. Right, well, let's go with the usual, I guess. I always hated typing shit in these prompts. You know what? Fuck it. Let's just shorten it. Let's get this show on the road. Right, we can select our face and get a little demonstration of the fake 3D at play here that makes this game possible. So all these different avatars are just variations on the smiley face, simple shapes. We got Bart Simpson, the ghost from Pac-Man. Like I said, simple shapes. Don't expect too much from this. I like this Bart Simpson looking one, but you know what? Gotta go with the Pac-Man ghost. Strength. No idea what this means. I think this might be like player handicap. I think you can start with some damage already done to you. Let's start happy. Let's be positive up in here. And let's leave that music on so we have something to listen to besides my droning voice. Cyberscape, I believe, is the campaign, if you can call it that. Picking the difficulty level here, which ranges from very easy to radical, dude. Right, this changes the level that we start at. So let's start from the beginning. Let's start from very easy. Level 1. And that is the level title, Find the Flashing Door. Very descriptive. I like that. Game Boy controls are very simple. You got A shoots, B becomes an interact key when we find some items later, and the control pad moves with left and right turning us at approximately the speed of slow. Give or take molasses. Yee. Yeah, that's turn speed is pretty brutal. And that's pretty brutal right there. That's some early video game violence for all y'all. Now, we could just go to this flashing door right here, but I happen to know a few secrets. I happen to know there is a secret door all the way behind me. It takes a full 3 seconds to turn around, but yes, this game does have secret doors a la classic FPS. I think we can interact with this by pressing B. we get this slow scrolling text prompt. This news ticker here. Right, so this is basically a warp zone in the first level, which seems kind of pointless when you can just pick your level by picking the difficulty level. In fact, I think there's actually another secret here. Let's see if I remember correctly. If we shoot this enough times, we should be teleported. Or something should open up. Nope, it was a teleport. Right, I think these will take us to even later levels. As well as giving us a much-needed speed-up. Let's put some spring in our step, why don't we? It's not that much better, but it's something, man. Open some extra lives as well. Those probably won't end up coming in handy, because I'm already starting to feel the strain in the back of my eyes, so I honestly can't be playing this for too long. And you know, that's a little-known fact about me, I guess. I don't know if I've ever talked about this for video before. I'm susceptible to eye strain. The main trigger for it, I've discovered, is trying to watch or play stuff in 3D. That'll set it off instantaneously. But I've also discovered now that playing this game will give me headaches and cause my eyes to sort of sting, and I can feel it in the back of my skull. So that's pleasant. I'm not even going to stop to read all this. Let's just move forward. I know we're in combat now. We're in combat proper. And as you may have guessed, there's not much to it. There is no way to dodge that. That is bullshit. First of all, this hallway is too narrow to dodge that. Second of all, movement, as I've established, not very fast. So that's the thing about combat in this game. You know, it boils down to moving and shooting, but there's no strafing. There's no way to strafe in this as far as I can gather. So and the spaces are so tight, and we've died. We've conceded a life. Have a nice day. I guess that would be the, I guess that would make this the first game to have taunts in it, wouldn't it? Just another way this game made history, I guess. Unreal Tournament, eat your heart out. Alright, let's take our revenge on them. They were somewhere around here, right? Kinda hard to tell when you only have 4 colors to go by and the floor is an awful dotted texture and ugh. And the view distance, the way the view distance works, where... Oh, we found the exit already. Of course I'll walk through that. I'll end this level as soon as possible, thank you very much. But yeah, you may notice that the view distance here is not great. That walls will appear out of nowhere. But from a distance, it looks like some horrible strobing effect or something. Oh, and this is unfair already. We move... Don't take 3 steps before we lose, like, half our health, I imagine. The bottom right icon being our health indicator. We're frowning. So that's probably a bad thing. I should just be preemptively shooting here, because who knows when an enemy is going to be around the corner. Like right now, for example. You know, when I see a smiley face in the text, "Have a nice day," I'm just thinking Mick Foley. Thinking about mankind. Oh, this is... You see, this is the problem. That I couldn't even turn around quick enough to deal with that. That's enough of that. Let's go back to the main menu by pressing A, B, Start, and Select, which was the quick reset key for many classic Game Boy games. Let's go to Arena mode. This would be the multiplayer mode. We can play it with bots, though. We can play with some artificial intelligence. And we can actually pick how many enemies appear. We go to Custom. Let's give us as many of each as possible, which apparently is just 2, which is weird. I mean, that's only 8 enemies. This game can support up to 16 players. That's... Well, maybe trying to run artificial intelligence is different from running other player input. I won't question it. This is as many as we can face. We can even pick the map. Multiplayer 01 looks like a good choice. Let's see. Let's just go through all the options. See if something sticks out to us. Oh, mini maze. That's direct callback. Oh, this one looks good. It looks like that's the last one there, so that's our full assortment. Let's go with this one because I know this is going to be quick and brutal and really unfair. There's nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. Right, this is a fucking clusterfuck. This all boils down to us shooting as quickly as possible, and I'm sure we'll be dead in a matter of seconds. I don't know even what we're playing up until. I don't know what the score limit is on this. It doesn't appear to be a time limit either, so... You know, I'm thinking about it. We have 8 computer players here operating at the same time. We're operating in like a pseudo 3D environment on the Game Boy. This is pretty impressive. I mean, you can't deny that this is technically impressive for its time, for the technology, the fact that, you know, this game mode exists. It's innovative in a lot of ways. At the same time, this frame rate is pretty unplayable. The game itself, generally unplayable. I mean, just because a game is important doesn't necessarily mean it's fun, or that it holds up in any capacity, or that it's even well made. We died and we won at the same time. I'll take it. Our avatar did not seem too enthused. He's not too excited to have won that. Right, so imagine that with 15 other human beings, and you've got a fucking nightmare. You've got a recipe for disaster there. Not much variety, and that's basically it. I mean, that's basically the whole game. We've exhausted... Well, you know what? There's one more thing we can do. We can see what one of the later levels in the single-player campaign looks like. How, you may ask? Well, by accessing the debug menu, of course, which the developers have cheekily hidden away in the final game, and which we can access by putting in the player name config_sys, as if this is a fucking DOS prompt or something. Or is that config.sys? Oh, whatever. From here, we can pick which level we want to start at. I believe there are 75? That one looks tempting. But let's go to the last one, the Central Matrix. I'd be lying if I said I knew what this rate feature is. Fuck it, I know it started on slow on B, but let's just put it to normal. And obviously we're going to max this shit out. Give ourselves a fighting chance. I mean, after all, we are skipping 74 levels worth of practice to get to here. I think auto would be, I think we're probably going to have, like, be able to shoot multiple bullets just by holding down the button, which would be nice. Obviously max that speed out, and I don't think I'm going to need any more lives than that, because my eyes genuinely hurt and I want to be done with this fucking video. Okay, we're in. This would be the final level, so I imagine it's going to be the toughest. Oh, and they're gunning for us already. This level is just as much of an eyesore. The scenery has not changed at all. Well, we don't have a very good look at the map yet. I want to see how big this level is going to be. And how many bullets did I put into that dude before he still managed to hurt us? And we're just going to hold down the auto fire for safety. Not doing us too much good. I mean, they still have the element of... Well, I guess I really can't say surprise. The problem is that we just have such poor peripheral vision and such a small field of view that we can't see him to our side. So once they start shooting, it's going to take us an eternity to turn around and shoot them, so they got the beat on us. They got the drop on us, really. I was mentioning that there's not much variety to this game, that it's very simple at its core. I mean, it took Wolfenstein 3D to introduce the concept of having multiple weapons in a first-person shooter. That's one of the reasons why it was able to be as successful as it was, and the fact that the enemies weren't just simple shapes, that they were actual humans and dogs and Frankenstein monsters, but that's beside the point. The point I'm trying to make here is that there was less than a year between this game and Wolfenstein 3D, and just look at the advancements they made. This game is just simple in comparison. It's nothing. And I realize that's a bit unfair. I'm comparing a Game Boy game to a PC game. But you know what? No, it's not entirely unfair because, one, this is based on an existing Atari ST game, and two, they put this game out on the Super NES as well. They ported this to the SNES in 1992. So yeah, this game was ahead of its time, technically, but not by much. Not by really all that much. Also, it plays like dog shit, so that's a pretty big mark against it. I'm just randomly navigating here, by the way, because this is a fucking maze. This is a goddamn maze. A maze with very few things in terms of landmarks, because everything looks the same, because 4 colors on a Game Boy. These walls are all the same. Everything is made up of 90-degree angles. You can't tell one hallway apart from the next. It's all the same. It's all the same. I contend that even an expert at this game wouldn't be able to tell the difference between one level and the other from just like a screenshot or a second of gameplay. It's... You know what? No, I'm done. That's it. I can bear no more. That's Faceball 2000. It's practically unplayable at this point. And I am in literal pain right now. This is gonna bug me for the rest of the day. This shit lasts for hours. You know, before we go, there's one more thing I gotta see. As long as I'm already suffering, I might as well put up with a few more seconds of gameplay footage. Okay, the frame rate here, the smoothness here, this isn't great. I mean, no part of this game is great when it comes to performance, but this strikes me as being slightly better than the actual gameplay. And that's interesting, because there's more screen space here, actually. There's actual more space dedicated to the game itself. Less heads-up display elements. So usually that would mean that this would be running worse, but somehow it's actually running better. Maybe the game would be a bit more playable if it actually ran this fast, but it doesn't, and therefore it is still practically unplayable. By today's standards, even by the standards of 1991, this game was actually received very poorly critically. Even people back then knew that better things were soon to come, and that this just wasn't a very fun game to begin with. That's Faceball 2000. You can go ahead and skip this game. There's no reason to play it.